So Mary Magdalene is a divine feminine ascended master. She walked the earth thousands of years ago in divine union with her masculine counterpart, Yeshua, Jesus. During her stay on earth, Magdalene served as a teacher for women who, at the time, had no voice. She, along with Yeshua, taught and initiated both male and female disciples into spiritual ministry of Christ consciousness. Mary Magdalene was a powerful embodiment of divine feminine energy, initiate of the ancient Isis temples in Egypt. She was a healer and a revolutionary. During her years of training in the mystery schools, Magdalene mastered sex magic as well as other ceremonial practices. And the way that I see Mary Magdalene is as the reflection of everything that Jesus or Yeshua was. And so if anyone ever wants to know who Mary Magdalene is, just see Jesus and see her as the divine feminine physical embodiment of that energy. So that's how I personally see her as well, is just everything that Jesus did, Mary Magdalene was right there with him, doing that with him. So, I do see her as the apostle of the apostles, because she is the one that was given the information, or she understood the information that Jesus was sharing, because she wasn't analytically trying to understand his words. She was feeling the words, and she was connecting with the word of God that way. And so that's what I feel that she's doing now, is she is helping the divine feminine find that center of empowerment and courage to use our voice and to really start connecting at a deeper level with the world, with humanity, because she was there when women had no voice, and she went through all of those bad experiences, and she even had to endure the church kind of casting her out and just removing her from history. So she is a very resilient energy and very courageous and very powerful. So it's a very empowering energy. That's all I can say, because she's a leader. She's here to be the leader and to awaken the leader within us. So I feel this is a very beautiful energy to connect to. And now that it's kind of summer and we're starting to come out of the cave, I feel it's very powerful to work with her energy, to tune into that Magdalene of our soul, because Mary Magdalene isn't the only Magdalene. Magdalene is an energy. She was just embodying that frequency. And we can all do that. We can all be the leaders and the divine feminines, walking the earth empowered and courageous and speaking up and just not being afraid to use our voice. I feel that's one of the biggest lessons that she teaches us, is to just to speak and to be.
Yeah, that's a beautiful perspective, and that's kind of how I see her too, where, like you said, she was that embodiment of the divine feminine, where Jesus was the embodiment of the divine masculine. She was his counterpart, and we are at a time now where we are, reconnecting to the feminine, because the feminine has been erased largely throughout history, and it is that reminder, that energy of what is the feminine. Like, that feminine is the counterpart of the masculine, but she is very connected to the everything. And I love that you said that Mary Magdalene was receiving the energies, she was feeling the energies, because that's what the feminine does. She's connected to the void, to all energies, and it's the masculine that kind of focuses at one particular aspect, or focuses it, and helps bring it into form. And that's kind of what Jesus did. And everybody, religion and whatever culture became fixated on that masculine aspect, that the feminine was completely forgotten, and she was, in a way, like, ostracized. Like, she was considered like a prostitute, and she was she was reduced to being just this very limited, um I don't know what the word is, but it's she was reduced to just being like this, even like her sexual energies. That she did teach sex magic, sexual sacred sexuality was a big part of that energies of the word embodiment. And again, it got reduced to a very limited, low vibrational energy of her just being a prostitute, or her just being this irrelevant person in the history of what really happened. So yeah, I think it is important for us to really go back and see what was the energy she was embodying, what was the teachings that she was helping birth at that time, um, for the collective. And yeah, when I see Magdalene and Jesus, they're like the perfect example of two divine counterparts supporting each other, because they supported each other in their purpose, in their soul mission, in their soul expression. And we get to see one part of it, but there's that feminine part of it that is also so special to explore, because Jesus would not be able to do what he did without her. This was like a team effort. This was both of them connecting their energies, supporting each other through their energies, through their gifts, through their own magic, in order to bring this higher purpose of higher consciousness, Christ consciousness. Um, so yeah, I see her like that as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of add to that because I feel like, and this has a lot to do with like if you've read Magdalene manuscript, like there's this part of it where a lot of the reason why Mary Magdalene was casted out, a lot of the reasons why she was called a prostitute, not only did she work with Isis, which Isis is also about sacred sexuality, but every single time that she connected and merged with Jesus in sacred sexuality, his healing powers were amplified. And that was a huge threat to a lot of the people that did not like him, or did not like his message, or did not want to actually see what he was bringing to the table, right? So a lot, like literally Mary Magdalene was a threat to a lot of people. And one of the things that I always like really like admire and adore within Mary Magdalene was this one aspect of her journey with Jesus where he was getting crucified, and even though on a soul level she knew that that was his destiny, that was what he was meant to do, to shine a light for the people. And there was like this story where she in one aspect she was grieving what she was watching, because she was having to, how can you watch the person that you love getting crucified, but at the same time, because she knew her like her divine feminine essence, she had to also hold the light for him. So it was like she was torn between grieving what was taking place and holding that higher vibration for him to go into, because that's what when you go into, whether you want to label it like the twin flames or divine counterparts, it's like the divine feminine is because she's connected more astrally, or she's more of the light aspect in some, of course there's the balance, but like she's the one that kind of holds like the portal, right, to kind of help the masculine, to help him rise, into his divine masculine energy. And like that was something that really, I think about that all the time. I'm like, because anytime that I have troubles within my journey, or I feel like I want to step it up as a divine feminine, I always think of that, where it's okay to grieve, it's okay to feel, but at the same time, like the compassion and the unconditional love that she had for him, to where she was trying to still hold that up and balance that energy, so he had that light to keep moving forward, to keep doing his destiny, to keep, because when you're truly, and this goes to where Alegna was saying, like, everything's amplified when you're with your true partner. Because when, yes, on an individual level, and this is what you learn, like on an individual level, yes, Jesus was amazing. Yes, Mary Magdalene was amazing. Like they both had their gifts, they both had their power on an individual level. But when they merged and when they came together, whether it was through sacred sexuality or just being together in each other's presence, it amplifies. It reminds me of Jupiter, right?
where it like amplifies the energy, the growth is there, like the luck is there, like everything just magnetizes, right? And like the healing gets stronger. And another thing too that like a lot of people, and this is also in the book too, but like Mary, Jesus' mother, loved Mary Magdalene. Like she took her under her wing. She also helped Mary Magdalene. So it was like Mary Magdalene was very loved with a lot of different people. It was just not the people that obviously crucified Jesus, because of that power that she held and had with Jesus and the unconditional love that they had, that made their connection and the healing. Because she was, like you said, she's also a healer. Like they're both healers in their own way. And it's through that power that was a threat to those that did not want it to be seen and known, because they had their own secrets. That's why, you know, we've only heard of the cast out of Mary Magdalene, like she's a whore and she's a prostitute and she's all these things, when actually she was the complete opposite. She was very faithful to him, you know, but because it's a threat, just like the Bible, like it's been rewritten and redone so many times to only show what it is that they want you to show, but how much of it is actually accurate, how much of it is actually the truth. So that's what I always think of with Mary Magdalene, is how she did her best and how she tried so much to be that source of light for Jesus and to help him and to support him, even in the times where she was grieving. And I, you know, as somebody who feel, and we all can feel, like once we're actually tapped in, like to have to witness something like that and to love someone so deeply, but at the same time understand that that is their path, that is their destiny, and having to witness that, it's not easy to be balanced with, I'm losing the person that I love losing because they were even together afterwards, but and holding that light for him as well to guide him through it. So it's just a powerful story, and it wasn't the last time that she was connected to him anyway, because he came back and they connected, you know, astrally and energetically. And it's just beautiful overall. And there's just so much more about her that I feel we need to bring more to the surface, and more needs to be spoken about it. Yeah.
That story alone is what helped me such during when I was struggling to kind of let go of my twin, because you know, it's like I was having issues understanding that he has his own path and that this other person has to learn, and maybe it's not meant to be learned with me, like he has his own path. And so when I read that in the book, I cried my eyes out, just bawling, just like feeling the love that she had for Yeshua, and just being inspired to tap into that energy myself and to hold that space for my own twin or for this other person. And just, you know, just like being compassionate and just understanding that he has his own path, and that it doesn't matter what happens. If I love this person, I am going to hold the light for him, and I am not going to bash this other person and complain about it, and you know, and like admit this anger and frustration, you know, so that he feels bad because of the things that happened. And so that really helped me shift my perspective. Just that experience that she had alone, that she expressed, helped me a lot. Just really come back to the heart and see this other person as in his full divinity, and not as the broken men or the wounded masculine. And that, you know, I feel that that's something that a lot of people, it doesn't matter if you're on a twin flame journey, if you are experiencing that love with someone else that is so divine, it feels so beautiful, then, you know, I feel this is a reminder for us to hold the light even when we feel hurt and when we are broken and wounded ourselves. So her whole life is so inspiring and so empowering. So yeah, I love that. I love that story that she shared.
Yeah.
You go
I
ahead.
just wanted to kind of add to that, because I feel like just their story alone is very helpful for those that really, truly want a divine connection. Because I was thinking about this last night, because I when I'm purging or I'm like healing a lot, and like, and it's funny that we're talking about Mary Magdalene, because sometimes I don't think the name Mary Magdalene, but the energy or the embodiment is there, if that makes sense. And I, you know, as hard as it can be, because as divine as unconditional and true love can be, there is also the contrast of that, right? Where there is a lot of deep grieving, or there's a lot of hurt, and there's a lot of pain, because it doesn't look like what we've been accustomed to. So situations are not the same. And just last night I said to myself, there was a part of me that's like, why would I be shown this deep love if it was to just be taken away, right? So like I had to go through that. And then there's another part of me that's like, no, I'd rather feel this than to not feel it at all. Because the love that you have, and like this just goes with Mary Magdalene, how much she loved Jesus and how much he loved her, and how much it was just, even their relationship in general was, there were people that didn't like it at all. I mean, look at how she's thrown out of the Bible. There's people that don't like her, that hate her. And so, but at the same time, there were people that knew Jesus, that knew Mary Magdalene, that loved them, you know? So it's kind of like, I was just thinking like how much I would rather feel this deep love and to know that this exists than to not know that it exists at all. Because before any kind of, I mean, I feel like it almost feels like I've never felt this in any other lifetime. And in a sense, if that makes sense, it's like I've been looking for this all my life, all my lifetimes. And it just like reminds me of Mary Magdalene, because it's like that connection that she has, and that deep love and that understanding and that compassion and that patience that, you know, the divine feminine has for the understanding of the divine masculine, because he has his purpose, he has his mission as well. And it's like the divine feminine supporting that. Like they both support each other, but it's that deep love and that connection that she had with him, and like you have with any divine counterpart, that it makes everything worth it in the end. It makes, because the amount you grow together, or you feel together, or it just goes to, I'd rather feel that love, that same amount of love that Mary Magdalene had for Jesus, than not feeling it at all. And that's pretty much, it was just, when you were speaking on that, that's what it made me think of, because I literally was going through that last night.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because whenever I was reading the Magdalene manuscript and reading her story, and how, you know, they didn't get to spend that much time in the physical together because of everything. It's like, oh, like how horrible would it be to experience that deep love in the physical, to have it be taken away shortly after, like you said. It's like, oh, it sucks. But yeah, the reality is that regardless of how long they were together or not, it's like it's better to have really experienced it. And they did get to experience it further on. You know, they're always connected. It's not like that connection's ever lost. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just, it doesn't matter how long it lasts or doesn't last, or what it looks like, but it's so worth it to have experienced it in the first place, for however long you can. So yeah, so that's kind of when you were saying, Erica. But Miroslava, when you were speaking, what came up for me is just that you said that, you know, they were an example of the masculine and the feminine, or the feminine holding the light for the masculine, regardless of what's going on, or regardless how dark things may seem on the outside, but like being able to hold that space, that divine deep love. And it made me think that honestly, that's something that we can all take and apply to our relationships now, whether it's a twin flame relationship or a divine counterpart relationship. It's that, like, as right now, collectively, we are learning to embody our higher aspects of the divine feminine, higher aspects of the divine masculine, and let go and heal the toxic masculine and the toxic feminine. But the goal is union, is for the feminine and the masculine to know how to come together in the physical, and we are all expressions of those energies, and in all our relationship, that energy reflects and it's embodied, regardless if it's a twin flame or not. And it's that, and I feel like a lot of, on a human level, we struggle with forgetting the love. We get distracted by the like the more 3D stuff, the low vibration stuff, like the oh, I want the ego stuff, like I want this, I want that, and the fights and the like, oh, but you need to do that my way and I'm right and you're wrong, and there's this like battle of who's right, who's wrong, and this constant like competition with each other, where we are learning how to set that aside so that we can come together, so that we can focus on that love and grow it and expand it and embody it, because it's like it's there. There's a seed of love between all, like we're all love, like it's all available to us in any given relationship. It's a matter of whatever. Not to go too deeply into that, but what I was saying is it's like it's how do we learn to focus on that love and hold space for that love and see the higher aspects of each other without letting the ego stuff distract us from actually creating real loving harmonious relationships. And I feel like a lot of us struggle with the physical ego stuff, like the battle, that we forget that there is a potential for higher love there, and that we each can express higher aspects, that it's not just like this low vibrational stuff that we get stuck arguing. To focus on that and focus on, let's create win-win situations, let's support each other, create partnerships that is two people actually supporting each other, actually coming together to help each other express and grow and expand, as opposed to this battle between me versus you, like type of thing that we kind of get caught up in. So I don't know, that's just kind of what came up with me, that it's not something just for like the divine counterpart, but it is an expression and embodiment of love in general and human relationships. And as humans, we do grow and expand the most and the fastest through relationships.
You know that you're with someone that you're truly meant to be with, because like when that person triggers you or you do have disagreements, it's like your willingness to heal the triggers, to heal whatever ego stuff is coming up, because that person, that connection means a lot to you, because you do have love. That can kind of show you who that person truly is, regardless of the label, whether it's like soulmate, divine counterpart, whatever it is. It's like when you truly love someone, like on a deep level, without like the trauma bonds and things like that, you take the situations, because it's not, to be real, like, yes, like true connections are, you're gonna have like that clash, right? You're gonna have certain aspects that are gonna come out, but it's that love that you have that's like, that you can work with that. You can be like, okay, well, let me heal this. I see them trying to control the situation. I'm gonna work on this. Or I don't wanna like try to, put my anger out on this person or whatever it is. It's like, okay, like they're showing me what I need to work on. So it's like in unconditionally loving the other person, where there's freedom there, right? There's no control, there's no possessiveness, there's no toxicity, there's no, like you said, Alegna, like you versus me. When you're truly in a connection that's divine, that light that you see in the other person, you know that still exists, even when your egos are kind of like getting in the way, because we're human still, and until we can learn to heal and transmute and alchemize like everything, reprogram or whatever the case may be, it's that growth that you're willing to do with someone. And I feel like all connections serve a purpose regardless. We can learn from every connection, but you truly know the ones that are true divinity when not only those two people see the light, because you see the God in the other person or the goddess in that other person, and you can see their shadows too, but you're more willing to understand them and work together. It's not like one-sided, like one person's wanting to work on it, the other person's like, I don't care, like do whatever. Those kind of like situations have their time. You know what I mean? But it's like when you truly have a connection, you work together. You, like, one person holds the light one day, another person holds the light the other day, and you kind of like work together. And it's just like, yeah, that's really what I was thinking of when you were speaking, was like, yeah, there comes a time when, yeah, like the ego comes out to play sometimes, and you have to be able to know that there's divinity still within that person, that that person is still divine. And if there's a part of you that can't see that, then there's a time where maybe that connection has come to an end, or there's something there that needs to be looked at. Because when two people are like truly there, like destined, like say Mary Magdalene and Jesus, like they work together. And like you were mentioning, like they weren't always physically together, but when you truly have a connection, you make it work. And plus you can energetically connect to that person as well, because that love is stronger. And it's actually funny, and like it's kind of going to like this unconditional love. I always think of like Harry Potter, and when, you know, he was protected by his mother's unconditional love, when she protected him from Voldemort by throwing herself in front of Harry when he was a baby. And so he had this like bubble of protection of unconditional love. And even when she wasn't around, because she died. So it's like, that's how I like to look at it, is like, even though you might not be physically with someone, the unconditional love that you have for them is always around them. That's always there. So it's like, you don't always have to be in the physical, because there is no boundaries with love. I mean, I'm not talking about like, don't talk to me that way, respect. I'm not talking about that, but there's no limitations with unconditional love. Like, it goes infinity, it goes all time. Like, there's no stopping unconditional love. And like, I always think of that scenario, it's like, that's how I want my love to be, is like, it doesn't matter if that person is physically there or not. It's that unconditional love that you always feel regardless if someone's around, and you're always willing to work on it and see the bigger picture and see we get triggered, we're human, you know, it comes out. But like you said, Alegna, like you don't fixate on the ego. You don't fixate on you, me, like I did this for you, you should do this for me. And there's like this playing, like that business, they call it like business, like you're taking score, right? With unconditional love, you give because you want to. You receive because there's that energetic exchange, right? And there's no stopping unconditional love. There's no conditions on unconditional love. And that's what Mary Magdalene and Jesus had. And like, that's where I feel like as a collective, we are moving to, because we have been taught what conditional love looks like, but we haven't truly grasped what unconditional love looks like, because there's no expectations, there's no like attachments, there's no, and of course like there might be if there's certain things that person is mirroring back to you and they trigger certain things, but that's to help you to grow, you know, and you choose to grow because of the love that you have for that person or yourself. A lot of the times that person mirrors your self-love, what you need to love within yourself. And to me, that is one of the best gifts that anybody can give you, you know? So there's so many ways, but yeah, I feel like it's it's almost like, yes, there's so many people that come into our awareness, but there's just like some people that you can just see them in a way that you've never been able to see through anybody else, if that makes sense. It's like your ability to see that person, like really see them, like see their light and their shadows, and like just understand them on such a deep level, I feel like is very rare, because that connection that you have, whether it is a friendship or, you know, a soulmate or a divine counter, whatever label that you want to put on it, the way that you can see through that person and connect with that person, it's almost like it fits. if that makes sense, because it's like you see them and they see you. And a lot of the times you don't even really have to say anything. And like that's where it comes into play. Like even when, you know, Jesus and Mary Magdalene was apart, they didn't need to be together to know their connection, or they didn't need to be together to know or to feel that love, because love goes all over. It's infinite. It has no boundaries. It has no limits, right? It's just, it can go anywhere energetically, be felt at any time. Like I was saying with the Harry Potter, the shield of protection. It's like Lily wasn't alive, but that protection of unconditional love that she did for Harry and had for Harry was his protection from Voldemort. You know what I mean? So, and like that's how I like to see it as well. Is, I don't know, it's like there's no limits with love.
And I do believe, I love everything that you said, Erica. Like I was here getting all emotional, just like really tapping into that unconditional love. But I do feel that it really takes a level of mastery, self-mastery, to be able to see the light in someone else, to be able to see past the shadows, past the trauma, past the karma, whatever attached to the connection. So it doesn't, you know, it's, and like you said, it is the willingness that we have to work through a specific relationship, whether it be a friendship or like a lover, family, relatives, whatever it is. It really takes a lot of us taking accountability and responsibility for our own actions, and really being able to see that, hey, I messed up too. Like, you know, like it's not, I am not the victim. I am not the victim in this situation. And you know, I said things, we both did things that, you know, we didn't really possibly, you know, like meant at the time. And it's about, you know, taking responsibility for ourselves, for what I personally did. That's what I'm doing now, is like taking responsibility for the things that I said that I didn't say, the action that I didn't take, or the things that I did. I am taking responsibility, and I feel that now it's when I am really starting to tap into that unconditional love fully. I feel that before I was still holding on to things that happened in the past. And so even though I was feeling all this love for this other person, I was still reminiscing on the memories of things that happened and things that were said. And so now I feel that I am really starting to release the guilt that I have for myself, and also just like experiences that happened, things that he said or he did. And I feel that it did take a level of mastery for me to get to this point, so that I could be able to see this and to take responsibility. And so I think it is very beautiful. And like Erica said, when you connect with this person, you know that person is the one, when you are willing to go through the shadows and to see past the trauma. And when you go through the shadows, through the underworld, through your own underworld, and you come out of it and you still love that person, that's when you know that person is it. Or that's when you know that this friend is meant to be in your life. This connection is meant to be part of your reality, of your experience. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of inner work. You have to really be able to detach from the ego and to see the light within yourself. And then when you accept and embrace that light within yourself, that's when you are able to understand it, to see the light in others. I feel that's what helped me, because before I hated myself, I had no love for myself, no self-respect. But when I found that within myself, I started seeing myself differently. That's when I started to see the light in others, because it was, my light was reflecting their light, and it was just like this beautiful connection and this beautiful exchange. So at this point, again, just really having worked on myself and doing a lot of healing and a lot of work, I am able to finally, when you were speaking, Erica, I felt that that's what I am feeling. That's all of the experiences that I've shared with you both. That's what is happening, is like that unconditional love is being reciprocated, because I am fully embracing that love within myself and for this other person. And what I am feeling, the message that I received when you were talking, is the unconditional love that this person has for me. And so it was just like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that came up for me that when you were both speaking, and Erica, I guess, yeah, that's the key, unconditional love. And I feel like every connection that we have, again, regardless of whether romantic or not, and regardless of whether it's an expression of the divine love, because I do think that every connection is a true connection. It's still two people trying to connect. That what level and what expression and what embodiment of that connection, now that's what you guys are trying to figure out as you work through that relationship. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it's just a seed that gets planted and that seed doesn't grow or doesn't sprout. Like there's still like there's always a lesson. There's always it's always a lesson in unconditional love. Like that's what relationships are. Every relationship is a lesson in unconditional love and a lesson in learning to love ourselves first, because we can't connect with another. We can't see the light in another. We can't express the unconditional light, love with another until we can do it with ourselves first. And Miroslava was saying, so every connection is a lesson of that. It's getting you closer to that level of mastery. Again, because it does take mastery to express the level of divine love that Mary Magdalene and Jesus were embodying and expressing. That is absolute mastery. I mean, they were ascended masters. They were embodying the highest form of love. And it does take, it takes work. It takes a lot of the inner work to be able to express that inner work with yourself, like getting to know yourself, working through your own shadows, like Miroslava said, going through your own underworld. And then at the other side of that, you can then start doing the same with somebody else who reflects that same energy, who is at that same level. But every connection serves a purpose to get you that bit higher. It's like every relationship is kind of like a grade level, like, right, you're learning certain things here. It's taking you a little higher and a little higher until you are within yourself at that higher expression. And then you either the person you're with, or if you're with somebody, if they can't meet you at that higher expression, then maybe that relationship has served its purpose or something, or maybe there's another connection that can help you express in that higher level. So there's always like, it's a matter of like, you know, every connection is reflecting something to you. It's reflecting your own lessons, your own journey, your own shadows, whatever you need to learn. Is every connection is special and has something. And I feel like we all get fixated on the one, like the divine one, the one that's gonna help us embody the high, that true divine love. And I feel like we kind of maybe romanticize it a little bit, or put it on a pedestal a little bit, where I mean, and that's what I mean, I'm guilty of this, because that's what I want to express. I'm here to express the highest form of love that I can express, and I feel like a lot of us do want that experience as well. But there's value and beauty in every relationship and at every stage and every level of your journey, of your learning. It's just all serving to help us like master ourselves and master love in the physical. It's all part of it. It's all a beautiful mystery of life. And ultimately we want to be able to get to that unconditional love and be able to express the unconditional love, not just in our counterparts, but with everyone, with friendships, family, friends, and nature, the earth, the planet. Like that's ultimately what we're going for, that unconditional love. And every relationship is helping us get there, where I feel like those who are here and now to embody and express that divine counterpart, twin flame, higher love type of energy, I feel like that's kind of it's just a fast track it, like, right, it's going to accelerate and amplify that unconditional love for the collective, so that others can also tap into it and start expressing it within their own lives, whether or not they are experiencing a divine counterpart type of connection, if that makes sense.